Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys Podcast, powered by Glovebox. God, I love Glovebox. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist from iProtect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He's a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama. Parade first-team All-American, Rivals five-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley? Great, Scott. How are you today?
Bradley Flowers, ladies and gentlemen.
So Scott messed the intro up twice. So we have a rule: if he messes it up twice, I get to do it.
If I mess it up 2 times in a row, Bradley does the intro, which has never happened in 200 and some odd episodes.
I got to cash in that card.
You did.
I did pretty good, didn't I?
You did great. I was proud of you. That was a fantastic intro. Guys, we have a very special show for you today, but before we get started, Bradley, it's secret time. And it is very befitting that I have on my present from Bradley Flowers, my Bert Kreischer t-shirt for secret time today.
Okay.
Here's the secret time for everybody. I am desperately trying to stop smoking.
Okay.
For all of you out there that are listening to this right now, if you're going to quit smoking, whether you've been smoking for a couple of years, your whole life, for me, it's been about, give or take, 5 years. What you're going to have to do, the first thing that you need to do is go to audible.com. If you're not a member, sign up for audible.com, which, by the way, Mike Stromso calls it Audible University. And you need to download the book, Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Stop Smoking. Mm-hmm. That book is the owner's manual, if you will, to get you to stop smoking. Now, here's the problem. I have not stopped cold turkey, which some people do try to do from time to time, because I knew I would probably kill Bradley today if I tried to stop cold turkey. So I've tried to cut back tremendously. For instance, normally, when I'm over here at Portal, it's 12:15. I've been here since 9:30 this morning, 9:15. I probably would have already smoked four or 5 cigarettes. I've smoked 2, and both times I put them both out probably halfway through smoking them. The problem with doing what I'm doing is when you slow down and you stop smoking as much as you were, it becomes glaringly obvious to you when you do smoke a cigarette, because your mind's telling you that you need to, how bad it makes you feel. Mm-hmm. So, if I walk outside and smoke a cigarette now, as soon as I put it out, I'm like, oh, God, I feel awful.
The same thing happens to me with cigars.
Right.
So I'll be honest with you, since we're in the trust tree.
Sure.
1, I'm insanely proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
2, I didn't actually, you posted in our group chat
right
that you were trying to quit smoking.
Right.
I didn't actually pick up on that.
Right.
And then until a few days later, and Aaron Robertson, I think, asked how it was going.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I was picking up a sense of irritability.
Right.
Which is completely understandable.
Sure.
But part of me was thinking, how is this going to go being in this room for 2 days? Like, is he going to twist my head off?
Exactly.
So I'm glad you're doing it the way that you're doing it.
Right.
But,
well, yeah.
No, I think that, I think that's how I would approach it, to wean myself off.
Right.
Very slowly, and then eventually you have a disdain for it.
Which is kind of where I'm at, where when I go smoke, because my mind's telling me I need to, and then I go smoke, and about halfway through the cigarette, I'm like, this is awful. I can't do this.
Well, I have a buddy that took that pill.
Yeah, Chantix.
Chantix, and what it does is it makes you feel terrible when you smoke
Correct.
one, but it also makes you contemplate suicide and
Correct.
stuff too. So that's probably needs to be avoided.
So more secret time for you people. Again, if you are out there and you're smoking, and you've reached a point to where you're tired of smelling like smoke and spending a couple $100 a month on cigarettes, the book is called Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Stop Smoking. It is not easy. I don't give a shit what Alan says. But I will say that if you read that book on Audible, which is, in my opinion, the best way to read it, it does give you the ammunition to start stopping and understanding the psychology behind why you're even doing it, because the times that I have stopped smoking and dipping, 3 or 4 weeks after I stop, in my mind, I think to myself, why on earth did I ever do that, right? But to Bradley's point, before we introduce our all-star guest today, I went to my doctor about a year ago because I was contemplating quitting, and he prescribed me Chantix. And he said, as he's telling me what he's about to prescribe me, you need to be very careful, because I had a patient about a month ago that I prescribed Chantix to. He was like you, about your age, wanted to stop. He comes back 2 weeks later to his office, and he said, I need to talk to you because I'm not going to be able to use Chantix anymore. And he said, well, tell me what happened. He claimed that he has never had a suicidal thought in his life, never even considered suicide, was not one of these people that are depressed, and that the day before he came back to his office, he was driving over the Tennessee River Bridge and had to fight every fiber of his being not to drive his vehicle off that bridge. He said it scared him so bad he knew he would never be able to take his medication again.
It's like these medication commercials you see
right.
for allergies, and it's like also causes rectal bleeding.
Correct.
You're like,
and bladder cancer.
I'm trading one problem off for another.
Right. Guys, we've got an incredible show for you today. I'm excited to be here. Bradley is. I know our guest is excited as well. We are proud to have him. I am wildly interested in talking to him. I know a little bit about what they're doing, but my hope is that when we end this podcast, just like we do every single week, besides training you guys on how not to smoke, which we've already done, check the box there, we are going to be able to help you guys. And hopefully this is going to be a podcast you can turn off and maybe go implement some things in your agency to help you grow and live the life that each one of you deserve to live. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce our rock star guest for today. He is originally from Keokuk, Iowa, and he currently resides in Des Moines, Iowa. That's a strange place for a technology company, isn't it, Bradley Flowers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
He has 4 beautiful babies: Taylor, Nick, Anna, and Nikki. And to those guys, you should be very proud of your father. I know that when you listen to this podcast, depending on how old you are going to be extremely proud of him and what he's been able to accomplish in his life. And he is a graduate of the University of Iowa. And in 2013, he and his brother Carl started a technology company called Rocket Referrals. The company was rebranded, and today he is the CEO of ClientCircle. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor today to introduce to you first-time guest on the IGP, Mr. Torey Maerz. Did I say that right?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Torey.
You got it. Hey,
Really?
thank you
I've
so
always
much.
said like Mars in the back of my head.
You got it. No,
Awesome.
you had it perfect. Thank
Well-
you so much. That was the best intro I've ever had.
Well, Torey,
Talking about the kids, like that is what we do this for, man. And that's if I can make them proud, then that's all that matters. You
The
know,
kids really
anything
like the
else,
intro.
That's all it takes. You
hey,
know?
hey, Torey, I want to say this to your kids when they listen to this. Now, your oldest, Taylor, may listen to this, in the next few weeks. I don't know. She's old enough to probably.
Yeah, she's in Arizona now. I feel like I've completed one, right?
There you
She's got
go.
her own job. Like
You accomplished one goal.
It's an amazing thing. Yeah.
So Taylor may listen to this very soon, and then your youngest, Nikki, who is only 13, probably won't care anything about listening to this for, 5, 10, 15 years. But one day,
Unless we put it on TikTok.
exactly, unless we put it on
It
TikTok.
will be on TikTok.
Yeah.
There we go.
So what I want to say to them, guys, you should be very proud of what your father has accomplished and what he continues to accomplish. And I know, just like every podcast guest that we've ever had on here, one of the big whys of why we all do what we do is to give our kids a better life than what we had growing up. Mm-hmm. And I feel confident in saying that you've probably been able to do that for them. And I hope that they're as proud of their daddy as I'm proud of you for what you've been able to accomplish in this industry.
Thanks, man. I think that from my perspective, it's not ever about, money or opportunity or things like that. But, coming from a little town, Keokuk, Iowa,
correct.
You kind of grow up and you don't really believe that you can do anything. But
right.
At the end of the day, you really can, man. You just put your mind to it, and that. That's why you're going to be successful at quitting smoking. Because everybody's listening to this, and you guys, we're all entrepreneurs. We got that spirit and that drive, and we really, truly do believe that we can do anything. Right. And that's what I want them to think about themselves, because I know it's possible.
Isn't it interesting, Torey? So I have a 9-year-old. Scott's is
15.
Yeah. It's a great age. I have a 9-year-old, and she's starting to recognize and understand things that I do at work. Uh-huh. And it's completely like selfish to a degree, but isn't it cool when they kind of recognize something you do at work and they think it's cool? Or you can tell they're understanding. And, 9 years old, I mean, obviously she doesn't know a lot about insurance, but I remember when she first found out that I was putting stuff on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you have a YouTube channel?
Right.
How come no one's told me this? Like, I might as well have told her I was on, like, daytime TV.
Exactly.
And to start asking, isn't it like a really, even though, like, what we all do is nothing special, it's a really, like, proud moment when you're like, yeah, Dad does that,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I imagine you've had a few of those.
I have. Actually, one of the times, believe it or not, it's Nikki, youngest, but yet she has this mind where she can, like, solve problems in the simplest, most, like, down-to-earth way that I just love it. She'll say, hey, so what's going on at work, and I'll say, oh, it's, no big deal, maybe this employee issue or that or whatever. And she's like, what you should do is just blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God, you're exactly right. Because she doesn't think, it's crazy. She doesn't think about it with all the complexities, I think, that we get on a day-to-day basis. She can see it at the most simple level. And I think it's good. It's good inspiration for me to say, man, I got to just dumb this down.
Yeah.
But you're not really, it's a weird expression to say. I think to make things simple, it takes a lot more brain power to make something simple than, to keep it complicated. But she has this way of doing that, and I love it.
Well, everybody knows too, like anybody who's been in marketing any kind of time knows that kind of one of the golden rules is to dumb things down so that a fifth grader or whatever could understand it.
Sure.
I remember I went to her class when she was in the first or second grade. I went to her class for career day. And I'm sitting here going back and forth, like, how am I going to explain insurance to a bunch of first graders, right? And so I had this magic trick that I do. You've seen the trick where the magician has the white rope and they cut the rope, stuff it in and pull it out and it's fixed.
Right.
I know how to do that trick. It's nothing special. There's another rope. You're not cutting the rope that is the big rope anyway. And I just broke the first code of magicians. But I went and I had this rope, and I was like, okay, this rope is your mom or dad's car. Mm-hmm. Okay? And these scissors are an accident. And I pulled it out, and I cut it. And I said, now I'm going to wave the magic insurance wand, and pulled the rope out, and they're all like, whoa!
Right.
And every one of them was like, okay, I kind of understand what insurance does now. And the teacher pulls me aside, and she's like, hey, that's the best definition of insurance I've ever heard. And I was like, lady, I don't do magic tricks every single day, but that's how we sell insurance to our clients is we just make it stupid simple,
Right.
super simple where anybody can understand it. Because that's what people want. They don't want it to be too complex. And
you don't want them to think, people have too much other things to think about. So why give
Exactly.
them something else, right?
Hey, guys, I was on the phone with one of my agents the other day, and my dad had called because there was a house over in a place called Russellville, Alabama.
Yep, I know where that is.
His friend was having a hard time insuring. It was a
Probably protection class 10.
Well, historical home, slate roof, and we're sitting there having this conversation on a three-way call, and I come up with the analogy of the three little pigs. I said, Aaron, let me ask you a question. He said, yeah. And I said, do you remember when we were in kindergarten and they told that story about the three little pigs? Now, I won't go into the whole analogy and why I had to say that because it just doesn't really matter. But that falls right into what you're saying when you're talking to people. I think that Joe Public especially appreciates when you can dumb something down to the three little pigs analogy for people to understand property and casualty insurance, right? But Torey, let's talk a little bit about you today. I want to hear what we've done. I know that most people listening to this podcast remember or know the name Rocket Referrals. Yep. We have rebranded and are now ClientCircle for a number of reasons. Number one, you're trying to do a lot of things to help agencies with that full customer journey that we talked about before we got on the show. First and foremost, tell our 250,000 insurance agents listening today, what was the reason for the rebrand and why and how are we different today as ClientCircle than maybe we were 3 years ago as Rocket Referrals?
Well, I'm going to answer by giving you a quick story. When we started the company, we did a lot of research and interviews with insurance agents to solve a problem, and the problem that we found at the time was that people had a lot of customers that were willing to refer them, but they weren't actually taking the right actions to get them to do that. And so we created a company around this idea to help, a business, specifically an insurance agency, grow their business through increasing referrals. And we would do that through, targeted and automated communication. Talk about simple. The idea at the time was you give us your customer data, you flip on a couple switches and we take care of the rest, right? Like we wrote all the copy, we did everything. And we saw referrals increase. We saw a lot of things, but being in the game and talking to agents on a day-to-day basis, we saw a lot more problems. And we're problem solvers. We're like, hey, man, we can help you with Google reviews. And, we can do this automated communication. And we can also do web chat for you. And we can do all these other things. And so we started to just build solutions to this stuff. And we basically outgrew our name, right? People would think of referrals as just lead gen and all kinds of things. And we've grown our product since 2013. Every year we're adding 2 or 3 massive major features that like an entire company would do. It's like web chat, for example. There's a company that does web chat. There's a company that does this, and we're building them focused around client or around insurance and around clients. And we thought, hey, we got to change our name to let people know that we do more than referrals, right? Like we're everything from, helping a prospect close the deal to retaining a client and to cross-selling that person and to winning them back if you lose them. And so we think of it as the full circle. And that's kind of why we came up with the name ClientCircle.
So
kind of cool.
I know there's a lot of independent agencies out there who name their agency one thing and they know that they probably should call it something else. For example, I'm trying to relate this to the audience. So for example, it's pretty widely known that if you name your agency John Smith Insurance, it actually can and usually does impact the value of that agency.
I did that right here.
Well, you rebranded.
The guy sitting 3 feet from you did that.
But you rebranded.
Yeah.
But that's true, right? You would agree with that, right?
100%.
Yeah. James Jenkins is another one. Was originally James Jenkins and Associates, rebranded to Riskwell. But what happens?
Well, let me stop you there. The first time I rebranded, and this was a problem too, I rebranded to Death Machine Insurance.
Oh, that's
and that didn't catch on as well as I wanted from a national perspective. So that's when I switched.
Is that
to
a real
Hypertech.
story?
No, that's not. I'm kidding.
That would have been hilarious. We should create some Death Machine Insurance shirts.
Death Machine Insurance.
We'll see how much that catches on, and we may make some shirts for you guys. But
not an insurance company, maybe.
Yeah. So I think a lot of agents out there either wish they could change their name, or companies wish they could change their name, or either is too blinded by it needs to be this. You know what I mean? I think it's easy to get romantically attached to a name. And you guys did a phenomenal job with branding Rocket Referrals and being known in the industry. I mean, you don't go to a trade show that you guys are not at. And even Scott alluded to it earlier when he said everybody knows what Rocket Referrals was or is.
Yep.
Which is, that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah.
How did you break apart from being romantically attached to that name and make the very thoughtful decision, very potentially painful decision to rebrand? Like I want to give you props, but I also want to know how that process went.
Oh man, I think that we probably went through the same stages of grief that you do when you lose a loved one, man. It's really difficult. And, we still kind of held on to it a little bit. Our company, the legal company name is still Rocket Referrals. Like all of our contracts and things like that would be kind of crazy to change. So we're still Rocket Referrals signs employee paychecks and stuff. And,
it's a DBA.
Things. So it's still, so it's still around. Maybe that made it a little bit easier, but either way, we want people to think of us as ClientCircle. And so it was difficult, but it's like a Band-Aid you kind of have to rip off. I did not see how we could continue to grow and be the company we wanted to be with Rocket Referrals as the name. And so we just had to do it. And there's never a good time. So it's, we just had to do it as soon as possible, basically. And this is something we worked on for a year, right? Yeah. So, it was also a lot of fun to simplify our message, talking about that. We used to say, we help you. I don't even know. It's too long. Now it's just happier clients, more sales, right? That's what we do. And it kind of opens us up to say, hey, we're here to solve problems. We want to make your clients happier, and we want to help you improve sales. And that's our goal, is we're going to stick to. And we solidified our message and our brand with employees. And it really, there's just too many positive things. And that's what we focused on. And employees, we had a lot of fun with employees. We put together an awesome brand box and got them really excited about it. And so
I get them involved in it?
Yeah, we got them involved in building things and the website and the brand, everything. So it was a lot of fun. And so because we were able to kind of focus our attention on that, it was easy to let go. At first, we actually wanted to have something that still had Rocket in it, right? We thought maybe if we could have something Rocket in it, but believe it or not, we're one of the few companies that hold a trademark on a Rocket branded name that Rocket Mortgage and Rocket companies has not gone after, because we trademarked it before they did.
Wow.
And so it's kind of, that's also, they have not the greatest customer experience, and we didn't want to be associated with that. So we were like, okay, we got to get away from that for that reason too. So so funny? There's just so many things. Yeah.
Scott and I's LLC is Rocket Fuel LLC.
You want to hear?
Hold on to that.
You want to hear something funnier than that? My home base of operations is Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City. So everything in Huntsville, Alabama is rocket this, rocket that, rocket, rocket, rocket.
Well, I had to call. I had to call the bank the other day. There was something weird with a transaction.
Yeah.
It won't talk about it on the air, but I had to hold for an hour with the most personable rep I've ever. I wanted to hire her by the end of the call. She kept me talking the whole time.
Wow.
And she said, "So what type of fuel do you guys sell?"
There you go.
I'm like, sweetheart, if I told you what we actually do, you would not be impressed.
Yeah.
So
so we had a name, Rocket something. I can't even remember what it was. And we talked to our trademark attorney. He's like, no, I literally just got out of a lawsuit right now where Rocket Mortgage bought another company just for their trademark rights to defend against another patent.
Attorneys ruin everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Hey, Torey, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah.
How are you different today in November of 2022 from just simply the things that you can do for an average insurance agency like mine versus, and I go back to your statement earlier, I'm going to say it again. We're trying to do a lot of things to help agencies with the full customer journey.
Yep.
Than where you were, let's just say 2 years ago, 24 months ago as Rocket Referrals.
Right.
What are some things that would make me go, okay, well, maybe we need to look at this again?
Yeah. So, I like to think of our company kind of as approaching development like Apple does on laptops and iPhones and stuff, where when they have a little bit to do with the processor and all of the hardware and the battery and also the software, they can make really unique experiences, right? And so that's the approach that we're taking, where we made our own web chat, we made our own text messaging, we made our own automation platform, and we've just released a new product called Journeys that's kind of like an odd, people call it a CRM, but it's what a CRM is in this industry, in the insurance industry, is not what I think of as CRM in the broader broader software industry, but that stages sort of pipeline management, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's Journeys, except because we have all of those other ways to communicate with people, email and cards and text message and web chat, we can kind of control the message on all of those things, right? So I really think of what we've been doing over the past 6 years is building all of those little components and pieces to be able to communicate with people. And then just recently with Journeys, kind of wrapping it all up in a nice bow to be able to automate the entire process. And so Journeys is going to be a foundational thing for us, a cornerstone that we're going to build on and add multiple things in it. So we have a really cool relationship with Hawksoft, where in a journey you can create a suspense now in the management system that's automated, right?
Wow.
And like so many cool things that we've just been able to like pull together on this product. And so we're really excited about that, because it kind of just brings everything together.
Are you still focused on testimonials and reviews and things
NPS.
like that? Is that something that
NPS,
you guys are continuing
100%.
to focus on?
100%. I think NPS is, NPS is something that we've done from the very beginning, and we use it as a tool to learn about your customers and then be able to target them with different opportunities, So if you're doing a cross-sell campaign, you don't want to start selling an additional product to somebody who has an existing issue on something they already have. Like, you kind of have to get that solved before they're even psychologically open to talking to you about adding more. And
that's a recipe for pissing somebody off, is when you call them to talk about something they're already having a issue in your agency with. It's like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now?
And that's why you got to have a platform that knows what's happening on both sides of the things. And that's where, when you kind of have a little bit across all of the stuff together, I can say, hey, this guy is a detractor. We're not going to like start talking about cross sell until he turns a promoter. And then as soon as that data changes in the system, boom, it starts to send out that other campaign, right? So because everything is connected, you can do really cool, like targeted personal campaigns like that.
And it's so important that it's all connected because, you know, I go all over the country and I talk to these agents and people reach out to us to the podcast, and I'm in all these groups that everybody's in. And every now and then somebody will poke their head up that is like anti-automation, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons they often give is they have some horror story like we all have heard in insurance, and no matter what facet, right? And of somebody's automation on some Bobo system accidentally triggering off, and everybody gets contacted about a message that was only meant for a
two people,
certain segment of clients, and the way which would be horrible. And I actually have done that by accident before. Thankfully, it was a nice mess. I meant to text like a couple hundred people, hey, I really appreciate you and your business, and I actually texted it to my entire client base, which actually went over extremely well. Right. But that's the way you mitigate is having everything together.
Yeah, we want to eliminate as many things as absolutely possible like that. And I think that because we have so many different sort of ways to communicate with people and how the information is connected, we do a pretty good job of that. But you know, just to that point, you know, just outside of what my platform does, I think that people who get upset about that one problem with automation, they're, you know, throwing the baby out with the bathwater if they don't do something, you know, because what they aren't thinking about is the other 90, you know, 1,000 opportunities that they're not hitting with that, you know.
What you're doing is you're cutting your head off so you don't get a sinus infection.
Right.
That's what's happening. Exactly. If you don't use technology or automation for the fear of that one thing that could happen, that's exactly what you're doing.
Hey, can I give you guys some secret time right now? There's not anybody going to ever hear this, so we're in good shape.
We need a trust tree sound.
Brandon, do something over there, please. Damn. So
he can't hear.
So he can hear that. Last week, November the 1st, I'm about 99.9% sure that I Protect Insurance downloaded the December birthday list.
Oh no.
For November, because on November the 1st, I got not one, not two, but 3 text messages from people saying November 1st is not my birthday. My birthday is December the 1st.
Justin.
And
you need to use that as an opportunity.
Exactly.
I have a story for you.
Go ahead.
That happened to one of our clients. They had changed. Something happened where we had sent out birthday cards to people like a month, you know, ahead of time. I can't remember like the scenario, and they got a ton of attention. And so what we told them to say is, yeah, I know we did that on purpose because we wanted you to get a message when other people weren't, because something like that. And man, it went over really, really well. They got more calls and sold more other additional policies and did reviews from that than any other campaign. So, I so much so we thought, man, we should make this like a normal thing. Allow people
birthday.
To like. Exactly.
There's an old school, Scott will love this. There's an old school life insurance sales tactic. And a lot of life insurance companies, when you are 6 months before your next birthday, so let's say your birthday's January 1st, which your birthday is.
Right.
On June the 1st, or maybe July the 1st, doesn't matter. Let's say June the 1st. The life insurance company, if you went to buy life insurance, they actually treat it as if you're already that age. So if you're going to turn 50 on January 1, you go to buy life insurance on 6/1, they're treating you as a 50-year-old.
Correct.
So a lot of old school life insurance companies do that. And I knew an agent who, again, was like a real old school tactic. We're going to do a policy review and we're on the debit route and all that kind of stuff, would call people on that 6 months and say, hey, Scott, it's Bradley with Portal Insurance, man. I just wanted to wish you happy birthday.
Right.
And they say, well, it's not my birthday. I'm so sorry. Well, it's actually your insurance birthday. What the heck is an insurance birthday? And that leads right into that conversation. So if you guys want to go like super corny, and I know that's some people's style, use that. But
how about this one? How about this one, guys? There's an old Scott Howell trick I learned from an old Northwestern agent, mutual agent. Miss Johnson, just remember this. When everybody else is showing up at your house with a casserole, I'm going to be the only one showing up with a check.
Ooh.
Get you some of that. Get y'all some of that, boys and girls.
Torey, talk a little bit. You guys, we mentioned this off the air, okay? I don't think there's anything wrong with raising money. I don't think there's anything wrong with...
There he goes.
I don't think there's anything wrong with exiting your company. But you guys have have bootstrapped and owned a successful software company in an industry that most people have raised money and exited. Again, nothing wrong with raising money. I myself have personally, and so has Scott, invested in, as I guess you could say, a VC, a very, very small VC in a lot of technology companies. Nothing wrong with that. But there's something to be said for a company that's bootstrapped, successful, and has not exited, and I'm sure has had many opportunities to do so for millions and millions of dollars. Talk a little bit about not only that, but how that benefits your users.
Oh, man. Thanks for bringing this up, because we don't talk enough about it, I think. We hear a lot about when people raise money and when they exit, and I feel, honestly really good for those people when that happens, because you sacrifice so much when you're going through this process. You kind of hope for that big day. But for us, we feel success when, we don't need to do those things, right? That we don't need to raise money. And that means that we control the destiny of our product and our employees. So what does it mean for the average everyday user? Number one, we can listen to you and what your problems are and be able to adapt and shift and change and, make new products faster and more quickly. I feel like we haven't done any of those things because we have a lot more to give, right? We have a lot more. We have a really bright future of product development and things that I want to do, and for the long haul, right? And it excites me when we solve new problems and we do it without, billions of dollars in cash from VC. To me, I just have a lot more fun doing it. So that's why we're doing it.
Well, I feel like, and it's not just an insurance industry problem, it's a Silicon Valley problem. I feel like, and again, nothing wrong with raising money. Scott and I, prior to this conversation at lunch, were talking about an idea for a company we had. And I said, hey, let's raise a little bit of money when we do it. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel like
and by a little bit, he means about $30-40 million for anybody that wants to invest.
I feel like we over sensationalize. This company raised $30 million, and we under sensationalize the entrepreneur that bootstrapped it and did it all themselves. Because when I look at someone who raised $50 million, there's a little bit of, wow, good for them. Wow, wish I would have been in on that. But there's also a little bit of, man, they just sold 40% of their company.
Right, or more. Yeah.
Exactly. And so there's something to be said for that. And then also, I think, again, nothing wrong with having a goal of exiting. Nothing wrong with exiting. But I think if you make it your sole focus to exit your company, somewhere along the way, that is going to affect your customer experience.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because if your goal is not to exit, the only other option is to make the product really, really good. That's it.
There you go. Boom. You just hit the nail on the head, because when you are bootstrapped, you have to be profitable.
Yes.
And to be profitable, you have to build things that people want and that they need, and they're solving real problems, right? You can't add revenue by buying another company.
Yeah.
And that's what people do. They'll say, "Hey, I want to grow by acquisition. I'm going to go buy another company, and that's how I'm going to grow, and it's going to look good to investors and shareholders because my revenue just went up." But they finance that, right? So they went out and got a loan, and this even today, money's still pretty cheap, even though it's less cheap than it was. But they'll go finance that, and the money that they are, borrowing, it costs less than the valuation that they get when they buy it. So that's what they do. And for us, we know that we have to be profitable. And so everything that we do is for customer experience and for, the agency growth. And it has to be, otherwise we can't exist anymore.
Torey, I love you.
I love you guys too.
And I am so happy that I did not know you about 2.5 years ago. And you know why? You know why? This is not your fault. It's not lots changed since that time. I know. I got into a conversation with one of your sales reps. And had I known you back then, I probably would have driven to your house and bounced you off every wall in that office. I was so mad at the time. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry for that. But we get into this conversation about reviews versus testimonials. And I said, let me explain something to you in a way that only a kid from Pine Ridge, Alabama can explain it to you. I don't give a shit if you call it reviews, testimonials. You can make up some word from like off the movie Star Wars if you want to and call it something that nobody's ever heard of before. I don't give a shit. All I want is when a review goes out to one of our brand spanking new green business customers and they fill it out and they say all the great things about our agency, I want that to go to Google and be on Google. And we got into a 30-minute debate about the words review versus testimonial.
Oh, man.
And I was so mad by the time I got off that call. I told Justin Miller, I said, I don't know that I got through. I don't know that I got through to them what I was trying to say about the difference between I don't give a shit about what you call it. I just want it to show up on Google. So I guess my question is this. I know we've changed the name to ClientCircle. Is there a way today versus 2 or 3 years ago that it's easier now to, through automations, through some of the other things that y'all are doing to get testimonials to go straight to that Google business listing that's ultimately where all of us agencies want our reviews or testimonials to show up at?
Man, that's a great question, and something that talk about, back in the day, right, when we had sort of the easy button, I would think that, what we wanted Rocket Referrals to be is you sign up, you connect your management system, and you're going to get like the 80% of what's going to work for most people out there.
Right.
And it's like the low-hanging fruit that's going to get you a big boost right away.
Right.
And so to do that, you kind of have to build a very opinionated system, right? Like, because if you add too many bells and whistles and knobs to turn and settings for people, folks that they don't spend their day thinking about how to come up with the best campaigns and stuff like that. What they do is they focus on insurance, and you want to have something that's really good for them, right? So that's what we built the system to do.
Sure.
When we get a more advanced user like you who wants to be able to really tweak it and get that hundredth of a second off of their mile run.
Correct.
We weren't the best solution for you because we gave you the thing that's going to work for most people, not the out of the box
thing that 85% of agents need. Right.
Right.
You're exactly right.
So we still have that, right? And you can start up and use ClientCircle and bam, hit a few switches and boom, if you haven't done anything or if you've only done a little bit, then you're
Right.
going to see massive improvement. But with the thing like journeys and stuff where you can really fine tune stuff, you're going to have a lot more options to tweak things and to really get what you want. If you want to send every new customer a review request and get that out on Google, you can do it.
Correct.
If you want to use our opinionated sort of design, which is, hey, we're going to hold back people that we think are going to give review and then spread it out over a couple of years, that's what you get kind of out of the box.
Correct.
But if you want to do your road, then you can do that now. It's just, it takes a little bit more setup. So yeah, that's definitely a shift in thinking that we have, right?
And let me stop you right there. I really like that a lot because you have such a breadth of the 250,000 insurance agents that are listening to this from a bandwidth standpoint across that entire landscape. Every single one of those agencies is at a different spot in automation. Yep. Some are at baseline 0. Some are in what I would consider a doctoral level. We automate. We can automate anything, and and everywhere in between. So to have two different ways of doing that, one's kind of the just out of the box, easy peasy, and then one's going to require somebody in your agency that has a technology savvy, mindset to really deep dive into this. That was a perfect example you gave, like improving your time in the 400 meter dash by 0.00001 seconds is what you're trying to do. That's that's perfect.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, I tell you what, before we get off this podcast, tell our listening audience today where they can go to find you guys today if they want to take a demo. And as I tell every podcast listener about once every month, I'm not here to sell you on ClientCircle. What I am here to tell you to do, and I do a pretty decent job of this in our agency, is we look at every single technology out there and weigh it versus what we're already doing to determine, is this something that is going to move the ball a little closer to the goal line for us and make us better, or is this something that we need to pass on? So that's all I ask them to do. Go out, get a demo, take a look at who you are today, and figure out, is this something that we need to do in our agency to help us be better? How do they get in touch with you?
So ClientCircle.com is the best way. And I appreciate that approach, to what you said. We are not the biggest, and actually we don't get a lot of, time on podcasts and things like that, because we don't pay big money to put our name on those things. Sure. Because what we want people to do, what you just said, is like, hey, there's no long-term contracts. Try it for a month and feel how this thing is working for you. And if it's not, then, and there's another better solution, we want you to do that, because we think that there's enough room out there in this industry for lots of different players. The best thing that we can do is to have all of our companies work together to grow this industry and make it successful and bigger. I want more agents to say, I want to be an independent agent. Right. Sure. And that's what we're trying to do. And we want to make this industry, have an atmosphere of really good tools and growth and things so that anybody in here can be successful. And so, give it a shot, give it a try, and make it work. And if it doesn't, let me know why, because I want to learn from that and make it better. That's all I ask is if you don't like it, please tell me why.
And you guys will be at the One City World Tour. We're very happy to have you guys there. Scott and I don't talk about this enough because we always forget about it. We always forget about it. OneCityWorldTour.com is January 18th and 19th, Austin, Texas. So
I'm excited to be going. I'm excited to get to spend. I'm going to do, God willing and the creek don't rise, I am going to do a much better job this year of spending quality time with as many attendees as I possibly can to learn more about them, who they are.
Including and not limited to snuggling.
I can snuggle. I have stayed with podcast listeners in hotel rooms in a king-size bed. Aaron Robertson, I'm talking to you.
It was not really listeners, it's one. But
I want to spend more time, quality time, individually with everybody, or as many people as I can see while I'm there, to learn more about their agency and try to help them grow and be a better agency. Torey, I think that's something that you probably, if I'm in your shoes and I go to the One City World Tour with a bunch of agency owners and, people from different agencies, I'm talking to them about how, not trying to sell you on anything. How can we help you? What are you doing that's good? What are you doing that's bad? How can we help you get better?
Well, and the thing about our event too is it's, and this is what I tell people, like, we're not going to have the biggest event. It's going to be a couple hundred people.
Right.
But it's all people who want to improve their agency. It's people that are pushing and working, as Scott says, that ball one step forward to greatness. It's not people that have a big book of renewals and are resting on their laurels. It's not people that are getting ready to sell. It's not necessarily people that are just starting, but it's people that they are trying to make things happen.
Correct.
And the reason you would come to our event is to be around those people.
Right.
If you want to be around the movers and the shakers of the industry, the people who are really getting stuff done, that's where you go.
Well, Bradley and I are going to talk about this on a podcast in a couple of weeks, but at lunch today, we were discussing my discussions about selling my agency. And one of the points I made to him was this. I said, of the 3 or 4 reasons I've decided not to do that, one of those reasons was this podcast, because I don't feel like I can continue doing this podcast if I'm not in the game every single day. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I don't really want your ass at the One City World Tour if you're not doing it every single day to speak to my agency force. Because I've got a lot of agents, it's great. I know I have tons of friends in the industry that are vendors and that are consultants and do this or do that. But I'm just telling you, it means a lot more to me when I sit down and I talk to somebody who's in the foxhole every single day dealing with the same issues and problems that I'm dealing with. And that was another big reason why I decided to shut down those discussions, was I just didn't feel like I would be able to continue this podcast. I love doing this podcast.
And it's not that you were thinking about it. Once you get to a certain agency size, I mean, you're having to knock these people off with a stick to get them to stop calling you. But it's interesting. So after last year's event or this year's event in January, I had multiple attendees come up to me and say, man, that was the best, most valuable, not best speaker lineup,
right,
but most valuable. I mean, I took so many notes. Like, I've been to so many. I think Rob Bowen was one of them. Rob, you see him at a lot of conferences. Man, that was like the best lineup. And you know why?
They're doing it.
Because we picked them.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Same reason the people who are on this show. I mean, it's heavy vetting. It's it's people who can provide real value. We're not going to have somebody on the show just for the sake of having them on the show because they've been on other shows.
Right.
We're also not going to have somebody speak at the One City World Tour that is not going to provide value.
Correct.
That we're just buddy, hey, because you spoke at this, we're going to have you here.
Absolutely.
So
Torey,
anyway, that's the end of my commercial for that.
I understand. Torey, I'm so proud of you for making some hard decisions. As you were talking about the name change, I was sitting here in my mind, and my mind does not work the way that some people's minds work. And I was thinking, damn, I bet he had a bunch of marketing material in the dumpster out behind his office when he name changed.
Probably waited until they ran out. The last the last blue Rocket Referrals T-shirt went out to an agent in Wisconsin. And you're like, okay, we can rebrand now.
Exactly.
I still have, dude. I opened my drawer this morning and I had
too.
my blue Rocket Referrals shirt was sitting there.
I do too. I still have my blue Rocket Referral shirt.
That was right when you guys started sending the T-shirts out. Was right when Bella Canvas started really getting out there, and it was like, oh my gosh, I could turn this into a pillowcase. It's like the softest shirt ever.
I got to tell you guys a story about the T-shirts, because that shirt that you have will mean even more when you understand why we give out t-shirts.
Okay, before you tell it though, in my center desk drawer at my office, and I just lied because about a month ago I went to a stand-up desk, the fancy stand-up desk where I can push the button and stand up or sit down. Before that,
That's what that is.
It's almost exactly like that one. There you go. Before that, and I still have the card, in my center desk drawer of my office was that Rocket referral card that came with the T-shirt that I can't remember, Torey, but it said something to the effect of this T-shirt, blah, 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 and there was a story behind it. But go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. And we'll make sure you guys get some ClientCircle shirts too.
Absolutely.
Because you gotta add that. But when Carl and I started the company, for a brief time, we worked in a little startup accelerator co-working place, and there was other startups in there, and it was maybe every 30 minutes we'd have like a Nerf gun like whiz by our head, and we're like, man, are these guys working on a company, or are they just having a Nerf battle all the time? But the first thing that they would do is buy stickers and T-shirts and all this kind of stuff, and they don't even have any customers. And here Carl and I are thinking, man, why are they spending their money on these things? Because it made them feel good, And we thought, well, we're not going to buy any branded like stickers or T-shirts or anything until we can pay ourselves. So we went maybe a year and a half, 2 years maybe, before Carl and I took a salary. And at that point, we bought T-shirts, and we had Rocket Referrals branded T-shirts, and we gave them to employees and things at the time. And then we took them to shows, and we wanted to we did it because we kind of wanted to share a little bit in our success. But people didn't know that what those shirts meant is that I could now pay myself a little bit of something.
Yeah.
And we still don't pay ourselves enough based upon what we're doing, but enough that we can afford shirts. And so that's what those shirts mean. And that's why we'll continue to do it. It's really a tradition and something that we're very proud to have.
There's a lot of agency owners out there that can relate to that.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
at some point, I think both you and I have probably been in a position where we didn't and couldn't pay ourselves.
Dude, I just hired about 3 months ago the swag guy that works with Glovebox out of Colorado. And in the back of my vehicle right now, there's probably 25 hoodies and 50 T-shirts.
Well, don't hold back, dog. That well, I like a good hoodie.
And so they're the exact same hoodies that
that's a good
they
hoodie.
had at the One City
I
World
have one
Tour
out there too that I got made.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have just reached a point in my career where I'm able to just sling swag to every single human
Like
being.
a T-shirt company that happens to sell insurance.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. But
That's good, man.
Torey, we love you. We appreciate you being on the show. Guys, go check them out. See if this is something you need for your agency. I know that our agency, Justin Miller, our operations manager, will be checking out ClientCircle to see kind of how it can fit into what we're doing. I will say we're probably going to be more on that journey program to complement what we're already doing. But, if it's something that can make us better, even if it's only 2, 3, 4% better, it's probably something we need to be doing over there. So as I end every podcast, rewards come from action, not discussion. Get your ass out from behind that desk today. I heard Chris Paradiso on a Twitter video the other day, and he said he was jogging and he was talking at the same time. And he said he met with a principal agent that had only been in business for a very short period of time, less than a year. And the guy asked him a question. He said, what is the one thing this first year that I should be focusing all of my attention on? And Chris Paradiso said, you need to spend this next year doing nothing but building relationships in your community. As I always say to you guys, become the mayor of your community. Become the mayor of your town. Sling business cards. Go to events. Let everybody in that town know that you are the insurance guy or girl. That's the one thing you can do. Go make money for your wife, for your husband, for your kids' college fund, for your parents that are struggling out there today. Go make money for them. Write good business for the companies that you represent, and write good business for the agencies that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, Torey.
Torey,
Thanks so much, guys.
We love you too, Torey. Guys, you were listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care.